The Piso coin was introduced in the early 1980s as part of the Flora and Fauna Series, replacing the old Peso banknotes. The idea was to modernize and strengthen the country's currency by introducing durable coins that could withstand frequent handling in daily transactions. The obverse side front of the 1992 coin features Andrés Bonifacio, the great Filipino revolutionary and founder of the Katipunan movement, known as the father of the Philippine Revolution. His image symbolizes nationalism, bravery, and the people's fight for independence. Republica ng Pilipinas, the year of minting 1990. The reverse side showcases the Philippine coat of arms, with symbols representing the three main island groups, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. The coin's denomination, Dalawang Piso, the BSP Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas name. This composition was chosen to ensure durability in heavy circulation environments, replacing the vulnerable Peso banknote. The 1990s were a time of economic rebuilding and political transformation under the administration of President Corazon Aquino. The country was recovering from the dictatorship of Ferdinand Marcos and transitioning into a more democratic state. Issuing coins like the Piso was part of a larger effort to symbolize national pride and rebuild public trust in Philippine institutions and currency. The Philippine peso coin was not widely circulated for long, as it was eventually discontinued in favor of a more unified and simplified coinage system under the improved Flora and Fauna series and later, the new BSP coin series. While the 1990 Piso coin was not extremely rare in production numbers, its limited period of circulation and eventual demonetization mean that fewer well-preserved specimens exist today that can fetch higher value among collectors, sometimes reaching hundreds or even thousands of pesos, depending on condition and rarity. The Piso coin was officially demonetized by the BSP along with other Flora and Fauna coins during currency modernization. The new Philippine Peso 5 and Philippine Peso 10 coins as replacements in common usage. As of today, the Piso coin is no longer legal tender but remains highly collectible. The 19902 Piso coin remains a symbol of transition from a struggling post-Marcos society to a hopeful democratic Philippines. Featuring Andrés Bonifacio also highlights a shift from honoring elites to celebrating the common hero. Its place in the numismatic world serves as a reminder of national struggle. Piso coin to maintain larger denominations in circulation as paper money's value diminished. Choosing Andrés Bonifacio for the Piso denomination was politically symbolic. Bonifacio, often considered a man of the people, was an ideal representation of Filipino resilience and nationalism. His presence on the coin reflected the brewing spirit of resistance and impending change, which would erupt into the people power revolution of 1986. Just a year after this coin was minted, the Philippine peso suffered significant devaluation during the early 1980s due to heavy borrowing and political instability. The issuance of a Piso coin instead of a banknote was part of cost-cutting measures and efforts to streamline cash usage. Coins last longer in circulation than paper money and were more practical for daily transactions during inflation. While not particularly rare in its time, the 1985 Piso coin has grown in collectible value due to its historical relevance. Coins in uncirculated or brilliant uncirculated condition, especially with clear details of Bonifacio's face and the reverse seal, can attract the attention of both numismatists and historians. Special error variants such as off-centered strikes, double dies, or misalignments can significantly raise its value, with some fetching thousands of pesos, or even hundreds of US dollars in collector markets. The 1985 Piso coin was one of the last coins to be officially issued under the presidency of Ferdinand Marcos, who ruled the Philippines from 1965 to 1986. This coin reflects the final financial and ideological messaging of his government before its fall during the People Power Revolution. By 1985, the Philippines was suffering from high inflation, political uncertainty, and declining foreign confidence. This Piso coin was part of a broader economic strategy to simplify coinage and reduce dependency on low-value paper money. Choosing Andrés Bonifacio, a revolutionary who fought colonial tyranny, for the obverse was a deliberate political message. His revolutionary past resonated with a public increasingly frustrated by authoritarian rule and human rights abuses under Marcos. The coin was minted by the Bangko Central NG Pilipinas BSP. Using durable copper-nickel material, its reeded edge, weight, and wide diameter were designed to reflect the value of 2 pesos at the time. However, due to inflation, the actual purchasing power of the coin declined shortly after its release. In 1985, 2 peso had moderate buying power cash flow. It showed that the government was trying to manage the economy's decline without making deeper reforms. Every element of the coin, from Bonifacio's portrait to the inscription Republica NG Pilipinas, was designed to promote nationalism and pride. It was as much a propaganda tool as it was a medium of exchange. Many Filipinos saw the coin's imagery and timing as ironic. Just 1 year later, in 1986, millions of Filipinos would rise in a peaceful revolution, overthrowing Marcos and restoring democracy. The 1985 coin, featuring a national revolutionary hero, unintentionally became symbolic of that movement. Although millions were minted, many 1985 2 peso coins were later demonetized or removed from circulation. Today, well-preserved specimens are less common, making them attractive to collectors and historians. The 1985 2 peso was part of the NG Bagong Lipunan ABL coin series, introduced in the early 1970s as part of Marcos's vision of a new society. These coins reflected his political ideals, but were ultimately discontinued after his fall. Post-1986, the Aquino administration began to modernize Philippine currency, gradually phasing out Marcos-era coinage, including this one. The design philosophy shifted from political symbolism to economic functionality and national heroes. The series was launched as a response to criticisms about earlier coin designs that lacked Filipino cultural identity. It was also an attempt to instill patriotism in a time of political unease. The coin features the portrait of Andrés Bonifacio, the leader of the Katipunan and one of the most important figures in the Philippine Revolution against Spain. The inscription reads Republica NG Pilipinas and Andrés Bonifacio along with the mint year 1985. Bonifacio symbolizes bravery, nationalism, and revolution values promoted by the Marcos regime to link their government with historical heroism. Displays the image of the Philippine eagle Pithecophagou Jeffrey, known locally as the Haribon or Herring Iban King of birds. The eagle is a symbol of freedom, power, and pride again, aligning with the themes of national strength during a period of dictatorship. Also included is the coin's denomination, Dalawang Piso, and the text Banco Central NGPILIPINAS. The 2 peso coin was actively circulated in the mid-1980s, used for buying food, groceries, and daily necessities. At the time, Philippine peso 2 had moderate purchasing power, equivalent to a simple meal or a few liters of gasoline. However, due to inflation and economic instability, the value of the Philippine peso declined sharply by the late 1980s, and coins like the 2 peso became less relevant in daily large transactions. Modernized the currency system. The Flora and Fauna Series, including the 1985 2 peso, was gradually demonetized. Today, this coin is no longer legal tender but has significant collector value, especially in uncirculated or mint condition. Rare air coins, for example, double strike, off-center wrong planchet, may fetch higher prices, especially from international collectors. This coin is more than currency, it's a time capsule of the Philippines. 1985 was a turning point in Philippine history. The country was struggling under the weight of massive foreign debt, a weakening peso, and widespread poverty. Inflation was rising, and unemployment rates were high. By this time, the Marcos regime had borrowed billions of dollars from international lenders like the IMF and World Bank. The public debt stood at around $26 billion, and servicing this debt drained the country's finances. The peso had devalued significantly from Philippine peso 3.90 to nearly Philippine peso 20 per US dollar in just over a decade. Amid this financial chaos, the Banco Central NG Pilipinas (BSP) still tried to keep coinage stable by releasing more durable coins like the 2 peso. But for many Filipinos, such coins were merely symbols of an economy that was no longer working for them. In 1985, public dissent against the Marcos dictatorship had reached a boiling point. The assassination of Senator Benigno Ninoy Aquino Jr. in 1983 had shaken the nation. Massive protests erupted in the streets. International media and human rights groups condemned the regime's brutality, censorship, and corrupt. The eagle on the coin served two purposes: to inspire national pride by highlighting a unique species found only in the Philippines. Environmental degradation under Marcos' logging policies, which had allowed massive deforestation for political allies and cronies. So while the eagle represented majesty and strength, it also quietly told the story of a vanishing ecosystem, overlooked during an era of corruption and neglect. The 1985 Piso coin was large and heavy, 14.6 grams, 31 millimeters, in diameter, reflecting its intended importance and value in everyday trade. But ironically, while the coin was big, its real-world purchasing power was shrinking. The Filipino people were experiencing economic hardship. By 1985, the Philippines had endured 2 decades under Ferdinand Marcos, who declared martial law in 1972 and ruled with an iron fist. The economy, once considered one of the strongest in Southeast Asia, had collapsed under the weight of cronyism, nepotism, and widespread corruption. The Marcos government borrowed heavily from foreign banks, enriching a small elite while poverty grew. Many government projects were over-budgeted and underutilized, with billions of pesos lost to ghost infrastructure and kickbacks. The currency system, including the coins, was managed by the Central Bank of the Philippines, but under tight control and political influence from Malacagang Palace. In this climate, the 1985 Piso coin was more than just money. It was part of a state-controlled narrative. Coins were designed not just to circulate, but to reflect and reinforce state ideals. The image of Bonifacio, the revolutionary who died fighting for freedom, was meant to project strength and legitimacy. The eagle, on the reverse, symbolized a proud, independent nation when in fact, the Philippines was deeply dependent on foreign loans and politically unstable. Thus, the coin represents the contradiction between state messaging and lived reality. By the mid-1980s, trust in institutions had crumbled. Citizens questioned everything from police to public services, to the very currency in their hands. Coins, once symbols of order and stability, were now handled with suspicion. People noticed inconsistencies in designs and even suspected coins were intentionally made heavier or larger to impress, while their actual value declined. The Piso coin, despite its striking size, had less purchasing power every year. What once bought rice, bread, or soap by 1985 could barely buy a tricycle ride. With inflation rising, counterfeit coins became a growing issue. Some fake Piso coins entered the market, usually made with inferior metal alloys. The government responded with stricter minting security, but it wasn't enough. Banks and businesses had difficulty identifying real from fake coins, especially in provincial areas. This further weakened public confidence in the currency. For ordinary Filipinos, the Piso coin was used daily in public transportation, jeepney and bus fares, markets, palanque for small food purchases, school canteens, bail money for students. People would stack these coins in old jars or soda bottles. Some tied them in handkerchiefs or hid them under beds during times of uncertainty, especially during rumors of bank closures or military coups. It became part of daily survival, simple yet essential. The choice of Andrés Bonifacio was deeply intentional. In contrast to José Rizal, who was viewed as a thinker and reformer, Bonifacio was a revolutionary, a man of action. Marcos wanted to be seen in that light as a modern Bonifacio fighting foreign influence, but in truth, Bonifacio's life represented the people's struggle, while Marcos symbolized authoritarian control. 1985. While the Piso coin displayed national pride and revolutionary spirit, the average Filipino was experiencing daily hardship. Farmers were suffering due to low prices for palay, unmilled rice, coconut, and sugar, main export crops. Urban poor in Metro Manila, Cebu, and Davao were facing rising food costs and stagnant wages. Many families had overseas relatives who had to work abroad as OFWs to send remittances. Since local work was scarce, the Piso coin passed through the calloused hands of workers, jeepney drivers, vendors, and assembly was limited. But the Piso coin moved freely from markets to buses to homes. Ironically, it carried the image of a revolutionary. Even as the state tried to suppress revolution, some activists saw this as deeply symbolic. Even Bonifacio is circulating more freely than our newspapers. The 19852 Piso coin was in circulation during the exact months that led to the 1986 Ideas a People Power Revolution. It exchanged hands as Filipinos lit candles, held prayer vigil. Sentimo coin played an essential role in everyday transactions but also served as a symbol of national identity. The reverse shows the coat of arms of the Philippines. symbolizing national sovereignty, unity, and independence. Inscription: Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Denomination: 25 Sentimo. This design layout was typical of coins in the late 1970s and early 1980s, emphasizing national identity through symbols of governance and heroism. The 25 Sentimo coin was widely used for everyday purchases such as jeepney fares, candies, and small groceries. At the time, its value had purchasing power, and the coin was a crucial part of daily commerce. Due to its high circulation, many were worn down through use, making high-grade examples rare today. Though it was common in 1979, finding a mint condition or uncirculated 25 Sentimo 1979 coin today is more difficult. Collectors look for brilliant uncirculated specimens, proof sets if part of a commemorative release, error coins, off-center strikes, double dies, planchet flaws. Depending on condition, rare variants can fetch several hundred pesos or more in collector markets. This coin represents more than just its monetary value. It stands for a generation of Filipinos who lived through a pivotal time in the country's political and economic history. It carries the memory of an era filled with both challenge and transformation, and its design honors a man who used art to express the Filipino spirit. If you're collecting Philippine coins from the 1970s, look for coins with clear features, sharp portraits, full lettering, and minimal wear. Store coins in a dry, airtight holder to preserve quality. Verify authenticity with experienced collectors or numismatic societies. The 1979-5 Sentimo belongs to the Ng Bagong Lipunan coin series, which began in 1975. These coins were introduced as part of Marcos' vision for a new society. The series included design changes and reintroductions of national heroes on various denominations. The 1979-5 Sentimo is a window into the heart of Philippine society during a significant period. While small in size, it tells a powerful story of national pride, economic resilience, and historical remembrance, aimed to symbolize a new beginning for the country. Juan Luna was chosen to be featured on the 25 Sentimo because of his legacy as both an artist and a patriot. His works captured the struggles and pride of the Filipino people under colonial rule. His painting Spoliarium became a symbol of Filipino resistance against foreign oppression. Featuring him on a coin emphasized the regime's narrative of cultural nationalism, introduced in 1975. This coin series reflected the martial law ideology of the Marcos regime. Ng Bagong Lipunan, or the New Society, promoted discipline, order, and nationalism. Coins like the 1979 25 Sentimo were a tool of propaganda, promoting a national identity tied to historical figures and Filipino pride. In 1979, the Philippine economy was still developing. The 25 Sentimo was a valuable coin. It could buy basic goods like a candy bar, a cigarette, or even cover partial jeepney fare. It played a crucial role in daily transactions among working-class Filipinos. The late 1970s saw rising inflation, economic strain from debt, and major infrastructure spending under the Marcos regime. Coinage was heavily used in circulation, with the BSP needing durable coins for high-traffic commerce. The copper-nickel composition ensured longevity under such economic demand. Every element of the 1979 25 Sentimo coin was chosen carefully. Juan Luna's image represented artistic and revolutionary heritage. The BSP seal on the reverse signified government authority. The reeded edge was used as an anti-counterfeiting measure, though it also gave the coin a modern feel compared to older smooth-edged coins. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas had improved its minting capacity by the late 1970s. However, mass production sometimes led to minting inconsistencies. Some 1979 coins display strike errors, weak impressions, or alignment issues today. These are sought after by error coin collectors, though once a common coin. The 1979 25 Sentimo is now considered a vintage item. Most surviving coins are worn. However, uncirculated or mint-state examples are rare and desirable. Some collectors also search for. Has also been used in schools and history lessons to teach about Juan Luna and Philippine heroes. The integration of important national figures on currency helped educate younger Filipinos on their cultural heritage and identity. Today, the 25 Sentimo is still legal tender in the Philippines. However, due to inflation and changing monetary standards, it holds almost no buying power. Still, it has gained historic and symbolic. The Philippines has had several series of coins throughout its modern history, each reflecting the country's changing politics, heroes, and national identity. The 1 Piso coin in 2011 was a continuation of this evolution, bridging tradition with contemporary Filipino values. In December 2010, the BSP launched the new generation currency coin and banknote series. However, coin circulation mainly began in early 2011. This coin replaced the BSP coin series that was used from 1995 to 2010. The obverse front of the 2011 1 Piso coin features the portrait of Jose Rizal, the Philippines' national hero. The words Republica ng Pilipinas arching above the year 2011. At the bottom, Jose Rizal is honored for his work as a reformist, intellectual, and martyr during Spanish colonial rule. The 20111 Piso coin is made of nickel-plated steel, which gives it a silvery appearance. This was a change from earlier coins that used other metals like copper-nickel. Featuring Drive Jose Rizal on the 1 Piso coin is symbolic. Rizal's role in awakening Filipino nationalism through his writings such as Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo made him a natural figure to be honored in the country's currency. The 2011 coin was the first 1 Piso to feature the modernized BSP logo, which included 3 stars for Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. A stylized Philippine eagle. This symbolized strength, independence, and a forward-looking economy. This coin was widely circulated for everyday transaction strands, markets, and daily commerce. As inflation rose in the early 2010s, the 1 Piso coin retained its critical role in small value exchanges. While exact mintage figures for 2011 aren't always publicly available, the BSP produced millions of these coins due to demand and the transition from the older series, though not considered rare, high quality and circulated 2011 1 Piso coins or errors such as misprints, double dies, or off-center strikes can fetch higher prices. Among collectors, some up to several hundred pesos or more depending on condition, and edge reading were intended to make counterfeiting more difficult, a concern especially for low-denomination coins. 2011, the Philippine economy was growing steadily. The BSP's release of new currency aimed to reflect a more modern and stable economic environment. Coin redesigns also helped curb hoarding and counterfeiting issues seen in the previous decades. The new design was met with mixed reactions. Some appreciated the modernization, while others missed the familiar look of previous coins. However, over time, the 20111 Piso coin became a standard in Filipinos' daily lives. The 2011 design continued to be minted and circulated in subsequent years until the introduction of the enhanced NGC series. 2011, the Philippine monetary system underwent multiple transitions from Spanish colonial coins like centavos and reales to American-era coins to full Philippine independence in 1946. Each series reflected changing colonial powers, sovereignty, and political regimes. The 1 Piso denomination especially holds national pride, symbolizing both freedom and economic self-reliance. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas BSP didn't just release the new 1 Piso coin in 2011 for aesthetics. The older coin series 1995 BSP series was increasingly vulnerable to counterfeiting, hoarding, and misuse in coin-operated machines. Many older coins were also being melted down illegally for their metal content. Thus, a new design with updated metal composition and sharper engravings was necessary. The 2011 1 Piso coin was made of nickel-plated steel, a cost-efficient and durable material. This shift wasn't random. It was part of a global trend. Rising metal prices forced many countries, including the Philippines, to change the composition of their coins to avoid the phenomenon where the metal value exceeded the face value, leading to illegal melting and export. While Jose Rizal has been on the 1 Piso coin since 1995, his presence on the 2011 coin carried even more weight. In the years leading up to 2011, there was a resurgence of interest in Filipino identity and nationalism, especially among youth. Rizal was repositioned as a modern hero and educated reformer rather than just a martyr. The BSP emphasized education and literacy, values Rizal championed. Before new coins are released, the BSP operates under a tight circle of secrecy to prevent leaks or counterfeit planning. The 2011 NGC coins, including the 1 Piso, were produced at the BSP security plant complex under secure conditions. All dies were monitored, and coin prototypes went through extensive testing for weight tolerance, machine compatibility, and visual clarity. The design and metallurgical engineering of the 2011 1 Piso coin borrowed international best practices. BSP consulted with foreign mints like those in Canada, South Korea, and Germany, known for their coin durability and anti-fraud features. As a result, the Philippine 1 Piso coin from 2011 shares characteristics with modern, global coins' durability, reduced cost, and high machine compatibility. Earlier coin series like the Flora and Fauna Series 1983 to 1994 celebrated biodiversity, but in 2011, BSP shifted the narrative to national symbolism, heroes, and state identity. Hence, animals and plants were removed from most coins. The move sparked some criticism from environmentalists and historians, who felt the decision neglected an important aspect of Filipino culture. An unexpected side story is that many coin-operated machines like arcade games, water dispensers, and jeepney coin boxes initially rejected the 2011 coins. The reason? They were calibrated fair, but with inflation rising, the buying power of 1 Piso gradually decreased. Economists warned that coins below 1 Piso were losing relevance, while the 1 Piso coin remained essential. Though under pressure in urban centers like Metro Manila, the 1 Piso coin circulated heavily. In rural provinces, however, many residents still preferred paper bills or even used barter for small exchanges. The government encouraged coin usage in these regions through financial literacy campaigns and local partnerships with cooperatives. Few people know that Jose Rizal's writings criticized both foreign oppressors and internal corruption. Featuring him on the 1 Piso coin during a time of rising corruption cases in 2011 carried subtle political weight. Some saw it as a quiet reminder of national accountability and reform. There are documented errors in some 2011 1 Piso coins. These include double die-up versus slight doubling in the design, off-center strikes, clipped blankets, a portion of the coin edge is missing. Such coins are valued by collectors, sometimes selling for Philippine peso 500, Philippine peso 2,000 depending on condition. This coin was the very first 1 Piso to bear the modern BSP logo, unveiled in 2010. That design marked a visual rebranding of the Philippine monetary authority. Operations, schools and barangays across the Philippines launched 1 Piso savings programs to teach kids financial responsibility. Students were encouraged to save 1 coin per day in piggy banks, emphasizing discipline and the value of money. However small, Filipinos working abroad often brought coins like the 1 Piso with them, whether for sentimental reasons or as gifts. The 2011 coin, with Rizal's image, often symbolized home, identity, and sacrifice, especially for OFWs, overseas Filipino workers. The 20111 Piso coin isn't just a piece of metal, it's a product of economic policy, hero worship, cultural values. It's true there were underground businesses in the early 2000s that melted coins and sold the raw metal illegally. This activity particularly affected coins from the older BSP series. The 2011 coins' nickel-plated steel composition and lower melt value were part of the BSP's direct counterattack on these syndicates. Some historians criticized the continued use of Jose Rizal's portrait, calling it symbolic stagnation. While Rizal is revered, others argued that other heroes, such as Andrés Bonifacio or Apolinario Mabini, deserve to be featured for greater historical balance. However, the BSP retained Rizal due to his nonviolent legacy, international recognition, and educational symbolism. During 2011, the Philippines was going through political turbulence, with rising calls for anti-corruption, reforms in the judiciary, and public spending transparency. The launch of the new coins was seen as a signal of economic reform and governance modernization, subtle but important to national morale. In the months following the coin's release, many people complained that the new 1 Piso coin was rejected by vending machines, payphones, parking meters, and public transportation slots. Commuters were frustrated, leading to public outcry. This issue was so serious that BSP issued special advisories to reprogram machines across the country, a costly and lengthy process. Although a single peso seems small, for many low-income Filipinos, every coin counts. In 2011, 1 Piso could still buy. The redesigned coin had a very real daily impact on poor families. Its acceptance in stores, jeeps, or markets mattered. Unlike other countries that retired low-value coins, the Philippines kept the 1 Piso as a coin instead of paper due to cost and lifespan. Coins last up to 30 years, while banknotes last only 6 months to 1 year, especially in tropical, humid climates. Street vendors often refused new coins early on due to unfamiliarity. It caused confusion and arguments in public markets. Some even called them fake. until BSP launched public education campaigns using posters, TV, and barangay briefings. Jose Rizal represents not just reform, but also Filipino identity and education. During the time of coin release, many schools were underfunded, and national exams had low passing rates. The Rizal coin was part of a symbolic push to re-emphasize education, ethics, and national discipline. Many Filipinos asked, why not change the shape or color of the 1 Piso coin? The reason: machine compatibility and cost efficiency. Major vending, parking, and transport machines are built for specific shapes and weights. Changing this would have required millions of pesos to update national infrastructure. In some rural areas, particularly in Mindanao and isolated Visayan Islands, reports surfaced of fake 1 Piso coins being passed off during fiestas and crowded public events. 1994 and later transitioned into the BSP coin series, which included redesigned coins still in circulation into the early 2000s. The 25 Sentimo of 2002 is an understated coin, lightweight, small, and composed primarily of brass-bladed steel. On one side, the denomination 25 Sentimo is engraved, with the year 2002 at the bottom and Republica ng Pilipinas circling the upper half. The reverse side features the logo of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, which had undergone redesign in 1993. To most Filipinos, it was nothing more than a coin used for bus fares, sari-sari store purchases, and daily exchanges. But to expert numismatists, certain specimens of the 2002 25 Sentimo stand out not because of their face value, but because of the mystery buried deep in their metal. According to multiple reports and collector forums, an ultra-rare variant of the 2002 25 Sentimo surfaced, catching the attention of seasoned collectors. This specific coin is believed to have been struck on the wrong planchet, or even mismatched with another denomination's die, creating an unusual hybrid error. Some say it was struck on a blank intended for a foreign coin. Others claim it contains misaligned dies, missing elements, or a combination of errors, like a double strike or off-center minting. One particular specimen, found in near mint condition with an uncirculated shine and anomalous features, was reportedly valued at $500,000 USD by a private collector. The sheer price stunned the Philippine numismatic community. Why would a 25 centavo coin, normally overlooked and ignored, command such an astronomical value? The answer lies in scarcity, error classification, and the increasing global fascination with Philippine currency from the post, resulting in mismatched weight, color, or size. These coins passed through unnoticed at first until someone with a sharp eye recognized the anomaly. The $500,000 25 Sentimo is considered to be one of these anomalies. Reports indicate it was verified by a leading international coin certification agency and graded as mint state. 2002. The Philippines was undergoing economic recovery after the financial turbulence of the late 1990s. The Asian financial crisis of 1997 had left its mark on many Southeast Asian countries, and the Philippines was no exception. Inflation, currency devaluation, and structural reforms were ongoing challenges. During this time, every peso counted, and coins of smaller denominations, like the 25 Sentimo, remained vital for everyday transactions. Despite their small value, low denomination coins, such as the 25 Sentimo, played an essential role in stabilizing the economy, supporting low-cost goods, transportation fares, and public utility payments. These coins were the heartbeat of the microeconomy, especially in rural and urban poor communities. The 25 Sentimo denomination has a long and rich history in Philippine coinage. It traces its roots back to the early Spanish colonial period, when centavo-based systems were first introduced. During the American era in the early 20th century, the 25 centavo coin was a silver piece, intricately designed and valued as a substantial amount of money. Over time, as the value of currency changed, the physical material and size of the coin evolved. By the time the 2002 version was minted, the 25 Sentimo had become a brass-bladed steel coin, small, lightweight, and mass-produced. It had transitioned from silver and copper-nickel to cheaper metals, a practical decision, aligned with inflation and economic efficiency. Yet the design retained national pride, with Filipino motifs and the official seal of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas BSP, standing proudly on its reverse. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, established in 1993, ushered in a new era of coin design and production in the Philippines. The new central bank focused on modernizing financial tools, combating inflation, and enhancing currency security. The coins of the late 1990s and early 2000s, including the 2000 to 25 Sentimo, were part of this transformation. Under BSP oversight, new coin series were released that were cost-effective, durable, and easy to identify by touch, important for visually impaired citizens. The 25 Sentimo was minted using advanced techniques that aimed for uniformity and reliability. Yet, ironically, this same mass production process is what sometimes led to error coins slipping through the cracks, the very coins that are now the most valuable. Despite producing hundreds of millions of 25 Sentimo coins, it is believed that a very small batch of 2002 coins were struck with significant errors, wrong planchet errors, for example struck on a 10 Sentimo or 50 Sentimo blank double die, obverse where the date or lettering appears twice, die cracks and cuts chunks missing due to damaged dies, rotated die strikes miss a colonial period, with influences from Spanish, American, and local traditions. By the early 2000s, the Philippine economy had already undergone several transformations. After achieving full independence in 1946, the country introduced its own currency systems, replacing foreign motifs with indigenous heroes, national emblems, and symbolic imagery. The 25 Sentimo coin had long been a staple of the currency system, frequently used in daily life. Over time, it evolved not only in function, but also in form and metal content. Originally minted in more durable and sometimes precious metals, during earlier periods, the coin was eventually produced using more cost-effective materials, due to rising minting expenses and the devaluation of smaller denominations. By 2002, the 25 Sentimo coin was struck in brass-bladed steel, a lightweight and economical choice. This change was part of the BSP coin series, which had officially started in the mid-1990s, under the authority of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, created in 1993, to replace the old Central Bank of the Philippines. This was a major institutional shift that aimed to modernize financial systems, reduce inflation, and strengthen economic resilience. The new coin designs of this era were sleek, modern, and practical. They prioritized ease of identification, both visually and by touch, especially for the visually impaired. The 25 Sentimo bore the words Republica ng Pilipinas, the denomination 25 Sentimo, and the year of minting. On the reverse side was the BSP logo, an eagle in flight, encircled by the official seal, representing financial strength and national independence. Despite being intended for mass circulation, a very limited number of the 2000 to 25 Sentimo coins became legends in the coin collecting community. These rare specimens are believed to contain minting errors, unusual anomalies, and immaculate condition. Its certification by a respected grading body further increased its legitimacy and appeal. While skeptics argue that such a high price may be inflated by market speculation, the possibility of an ultra-rare coin of this kind existing is not far-fetched. Across the world, coins with dramatic minting errors, especially when preserved, have fetched astronomical sums. The intrigue surrounding the 2002 25 Sentimo only adds fuel to the fire. The 2002 coin came into existence. The 25 centavo denomination existed under both Spanish and American colonial administrations.